Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy having videos on while you work, sometimes you find that the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that is where I come in. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. It is a glorious Thursday afternoon. It was really rainy this morning. Actually, a big crack of thunder woke me up. And there was lightning, of course a little bit of flooding as usual in my neck of the woods, and I haven't yet gone downstairs into the basement to see if it flooded or not, but most cases when we have heavy rain it does. Today, as you can tell by the thumbnail title, we are working on the rest of this Rye Light sock. That's for my partner. We're not going to get it done today. Oh no, but we are at the long part where I just get to knit around and around and around until I'm about 8 inches long, and then I can start my decreases and shaping the toe. So we're just gonna do what we do, knit until we have enough length. I actually started another sock this afternoon for my brother's fiance. So if you have watched some of my earlier videos, you may have heard me mention that the month of May is my brother's birthday and his fiance's birthday month, and I'm going to be sending them a giant box of stuff that I know they'll like, a little bit for each of them, a little bit for them to share, and I'm waiting on a puzzle that's on back order from an Etsy store, and it's clear. The whole thing is clear. I believe it's acrylic, and it's just a clear board, and they have to put all the pieces together. So they're puzzle folk, and I thought it'd be an awesome gift, but of course I found out about it during the quarantine, and I think everybody else who also likes to work on puzzles and is stuck at home caught wind of it was basically like a viral news article type thing that was like, hey, look at this crazy puzzle, and here's where you can buy it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So put it in my cart, and the shipper says won't be ready to ship out until July. So I have another month and a half or so until I will get that, and decided that I would just wait and send them the whole thing at once I have that last piece of their gift. And since I'm waiting, I decided to start them on a pair of socks. So it was like given the time frame, I have plenty of time to make 2 pairs of socks, but I only started casting on this afternoon on my future sister-in-law, I guess is what I would call her, on her sock. So I'll be introducing that to you guys pretty soon here, but I want to make sure I get the cuff finished before I start with the shaping of the heel and then working on the length of the sock. I found another pattern online on Ravelry to do for that one. Because really, so I know there's like a simple sock, like you know how many to cast on, for how wide your foot is, and you know how long to knit, to how long you need it before you start shaping the toe and stuff. But the part that gets me is the how-to for how do you know when to shape you know when to shape the heel when you want it as long as you want it, but how many stitches in do you start doing that stuff, and then how do you adjust it for how wide your sock is? So that's where I get caught up, and I know there's like math and stuff involved. Like I looked at some other patterns and it wasn't really a pattern, it was more like a guide, but they want you to measure the foot. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. It's a gift. So how do I know? So it's like if I'm going to knit a, see, my brother is a US size 11 and a half or 12 men's size shoe. So it's like, okay, well, now how do I know what to do for that? So that's where I get stuck. It's like I get the concept of the sock, but it's just when and how do I accommodate for the shaping, how many stitches to pick up, how long and when to knit this and that side before I can start the shape or the knitting the foot part. So all of that is where I get stuck. So I have to find something where it lays out exactly, cast on this for this. This is how far you knit, and now knit this many in and turn it here, and knit this many and turn it there, and that's where I need to get the guidance. Because it's like ladies sock, you know, a lady, like my brother's fiance / my future sister-in-law, she wears a 9. So it's like, okay, I see where a 9 is, and I knit that long, and easy enough. But it's when it gets into the men's sizes that I'm like, oh, don't know what to do here. So I hope you're having a good day wherever you are, whenever you see this one. I've kind of jumped around this week, and I was off this week, and I'm off the upcoming Monday as well. So I wanted to try to knit, get some content ready and edited and uploaded on a schedule, because I have some other things down the road that I wanted to show you guys. So I figured I would just start working on those projects to kind of get a head start before I make them part of like the regular rotation of videos. And while I'm kind of in between, I still have this one sock, one of 2 that I'm still working on for my partner, and one day they'll get these socks. By the time I'm done with them, it probably will be winter when it'll make sense for them to wear them again. Literally have been working on this for about a year, maybe more. Oh no, what have I done? Okay. We have a knot. Well, it's not really a knot. It's like a little bit of my hair and a little bit of friction have a little bit of felt work happening right here. So I have to fix that before we can continue. And so what's happening is that my yarn has 2 tails almost right now that are touching each other. So the working yarn is rubbing against the little bit that's still in the ball, and they keep getting intertwined. Has that ever happened to you? Alright, almost got it. Gotta like force it. But hopefully I'll get this fixed up here. But it's so funny, I actually, I was knitting last night / this morning, and it got late. And because I have been accused of snoring, though I'm not the only one who snores, I've been using these like breathing, they're just like stickies. It's like a really stiff band-aid that you stick over your nose, and it's supposed to help open up your airway so that you breathe quieter. And they're not the cheapest thing to buy, so I had like 1 box going. And so basically I've just told myself, if I go to bed and it's not super late where I only can maybe sleep 2 or 3 hours before my partner gets up, and starts their day, then I'll wear the Breathe Right strip. And then if it's closer to where my partner will be up soon, I won't. But if it's somewhere in the middle where I know that it's gonna be a long time before they wake up, but it's still not like a full night's sleep for me, where I feel like the Breathe Right strip would go to waste, then I'll usually just camp out somewhere else. And that's either in here, I'll sleep on this, or I'll sleep downstairs on the couch just because it's convenient. And so last night / early this morning, I slept in here. And because we have a pool blind, it doesn't really adjust. It's either all the way bright or it's all the way dark, and there's nowhere in between. So I slept with it being all the way bright, but it was still dark out when I went to bed, and that's when thunder and lightning, very, very frightening, started happening, and I was like, oh my gosh. But thankfully I was tired enough, and there isn't a working clock in here, and I left my phone that I usually rely on as my alarm downstairs, and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna wake up when I wake up. Left downstairs, didn't open the bedroom to see what time it was, but it woke me up, so I actually had to use the restroom and went back to sleep. And by the time I got back up, it was 1:45. So I was happy that I got a lot more sleep than I expected, because I'd been waking up pretty, well, early for me lately. Not necessarily early for most people, but early for me. And, oh, whoopsies. Am I doing this right? No. I'm supposed to be knitting in pattern when I get to the garter part. Hee hee hee. It isn't until, towards shaping the toe that I just knit, straight across. So, well, that just gives me more time to knit with you guys, right? Oh Lord, I'm like, why does this look so strange? I should be purling right here. But yeah, so I woke up kind of late, and I was like, well, I have some stuff to do, but because of the rain, I'm like, well, if it's flooded in the basement, I won't be able to do laundry, but I will be able to start on my brother's fiance's socks. And I've been starting the slow-mo, or I keep calling it slow-mo, the time-lapse of one of my new projects that I wanted to make. And so I've kind of just been jumping between those things, and I have the rest of the color block blanket. I'm finally in the last 40 stitches. Oh my Lord, did I just do it again? Yes, I did. I need to be purling. I did one purl and I went right back to knitting. There we go. Get it together. The sock's gonna look like it has some issues if I don't pay better attention. So yeah, I'm usually like I'm usually about like a 4 project person, but depending on what I'm up to, it might be more than that. Oh, what's this? Oh, I think oh yes. I'm looking, I think I dropped one, so I have to run it back through. Yeah, because that says it's purling, so I need to make a knit. Okay, yay, alright, fixed it. So yes, so I usually have about 4 projects going, but since I am coming to the end of the color block blanket that I'm doing for my partner's friend's daughter, I have about 42 rows left of that. And I'm working on the little kitties for my co-workers. And I have this sock, but it's not really time pressing because it's just my partner and they already know I owe you. And I have, what else do I have? Oh, the cat mats that I'm making in celebration of my kitties' birthdays that are this year. We just celebrated Koji's 5th birthday, and Kabu's birthday is next month, and I'm just going to keep working on that one for them. So just have a few going, keep things interesting. I've been bringing more and more of my knitting downstairs, which is starting to clutter up my work area, but since I actually am off of work, I feel like it's okay for now. And then next week I'll bring up the ones that I'm not using or I'm not working on as much, like this one. I'll find a place to keep it out of the way and just do the more immediate ones downstairs. Because I'm really hoping one day to get like a basket with a lid on it so I can keep more of my knitting downstairs and out of the way of the kitties, because they love to get their fur on everything, which is usually why, I love to knit downstairs because then I'm with them, but as I've mentioned before, things that get lint or cat fur on them aren't as appealing and as nice as the things that don't have anything on them. So I mostly, of course, knit for other people and want to make sure everything is pristine as possible, because I know a lot of people who do not appreciate cat fur on their clothes or on their garments or any kinds of gifts, especially if they, 1, aren't a cat owner, and 2, don't necessarily care for animal fur on things. So that's why I usually knit with them out of the way so they don't put their paw in anything. Which reminds me, I do need to sweep in here pretty soon, because just threw some dust under the door and residual cat fur. I'm starting to notice a few dust bunnies in the corner, and of course if I drop my yarn or something, then it ends up transferring to the yarn. But for the most part, they don't come in here. It's just through the little breezes and things that a lot of their fur makes its way in. But I'm so glad that it's not as overcast as it was earlier today. It's supposed to keep raining, but I think the percentages have changed, so it's not as strong of a chance, though I think we're supposed to get some more rain throughout the weekend. And as with, it's so weird, it's like, if you guys know the saying, April showers bring May flowers, we tend to, in my area, get a lot of rain through the summer and late spring as well. So we just have like a long time where it's just raining all the time, and then finally we get like some scorching days. But like today, it's hot and rainy, so it's a little muggy. It's in the mid-70s today, so it's weird because you want to open your windows, but you also don't want your house to be flooded, so you kind of have to weigh what's more important. I mean, honestly, I love to just have the windows open and have the natural breezes come through, but my partner thinks it's not enough and usually would want the AC installed pretty soon here, I imagine. I think we can probably go maybe even another month before we really need it, but they have, I call it like the space station. They have a lot of computers, and even though they're downstairs, they generate a lot of heat versus if they're upstairs, it'd be really, really hot. So they get super hot, and then they just run hot anyway, like even at night. Like I go to bed and they feel like a running heater. It's just really weird. So they just run hot. I remember when we first started dating, I thought they were crazy because middle of Midwest winter and they're walking to class in shorts, and they still to this day will not wear like a real coat in the winter. And I don't know if it's just because they like to be like this cool person or whatever, like I don't need a coat, I'm so strong, I'm so tolerant, but then they're always complaining about being really hot. And then sometimes they think they're really hot and then they get really cold and they're like, wow, it's really cold. And I'm like, see, I told you it's cold. And then I'm usually always cold, except for in the very hot summer. I will be unbearably hot, but most of the time I rather have a blanket on me than not, and want to be cozied up, in my cardigan and my scarf or whatever, and I just tend to want to be snuggly and warm, which is also why I think I might be part cat. Besides liking little confined spaces when I was little, wanting to sleep all the time, I like to be warm. So yeah, I'm hoping we don't need to bring our AC out very soon, but with a lot of my neighbors working from home right now as well, they're outside a lot more with their dogs, and their dogs bark all the time. So, I mean, today it's like I get a little bit of a break, sort of, because now if they're inside, they're barking like right on this wall, but when they're outside, they're barking, and the echo just rings through the house, and you're trying to just enjoy some quiet, you're kind of in your zone, and then you just hear the barking all the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, can you not bark at like 12 o'clock at night, please? 10 o'clock when we're trying to go to bed? Well, some of us are trying to go to bed. I'm very much awake, but I'm also just kind of in my mellow, quiet zone. So if I have the window open, that just like amplifies the noises. So it's like, I don't know if it's like, what is that? Misophonia, I guess is what it is, where like noises can be really aggravating. And that could just be my zero tolerance for unnecessary racket. But there are lots of noises that do just kind of like make me a little disturbed. So I don't know. I could just be a person who is insatiably unhappy all the time too. And everything just bothers me, which could very well be the case, and I just haven't quite reached that conclusion yet. There's like some grass or something in here. Just as I suspected. We're just about to the end of this video, and I'm keeping an eye right now that I do have to purl at this point. But let me finish this row and then we can take a look at it together. But yes, overall this will be the second time, as you can tell by the thumb, second time I've knit this pattern, but the first time that I've knit it properly following the pattern guidelines and having it on 3 DPNs instead of 4, which I started out with because the very first sock I knit asked to do it on 4, so I thought that was just the standard. And then later on I found out that no, you can do it on 3 as well, depending on, you know, what your pattern requirements are. And I only found out by looking at their website directly and the guide that they have for knitting on this pattern. So I was like, oh, well, there goes that. But I'm hoping that the 4th time I knit this sock, which will be the last of the 2 of this pair, I will have it. Nah, I'm kidding myself if I think I'll have it committed to memory, because knowing me, I have like the memory of a goldfish sometimes. It's like very weird. I can remember stuff from when I was like 2, 3 years old, but if you ask me what I had for dinner last night, I might not be able to recall it, though I do remember what I had for dinner last night this time around, but sometimes time is a blur. Alright, so unfortunately my camera won't focus, but you could see we have made some progress, so thank you again for sticking with me through this video. I hope you are working on a very fun project yourself. Let me know in the comments what your WIP is, and I'd love to learn what you guys are doing as well. So thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!